So I said, fine. I will take your dare. And so he gives me the eye again and says, all right, come over here and kneel and kiss my boots. No. And I expected at some point he'd stop staring at me with those really super cold ass fucking eyes, and he did not. And after, I swear to God, a minute, I just couldn't look at him anymore, so I found myself looking at my own shoes going, okay, let this be over. Soon, someone will say something and it'll break this really nasty fucking tension. He didn't say anything. And I'm sitting there staring at my shoes, and all of a sudden I feel the whole energy in the room shift, and he gets up and walks towards me. And he's standing right in front of me. He looks down at me and says, I'm going to ask you one more time. Kneel and kiss my boots. No, thank you. And I had like no nerves at all in my legs, and he takes a step back, and I'm like, okay, I'm off the hook, this is cool, and he says, stand up. Ooh, okay, well, if I'm standing, I'm further away from his boots. So I'm still totally in control here, this is good, this is all good. What's he gonna do, like wrestle me to the ground and like make me kiss his boots? You know, that would have actually made a lot more sense than what happened next, which is that he leans in and starts whispering in my ear. And he said, you know, normally, this is not something that I will allow someone to do. Sometime later, he took a step back and looked at me and said, are you ready? And I said, And he said, kneel. And I dropped to the fucking deck. And I was about to lean over and kiss his boots, and I said, you know, he hasn't given me permission to do that yet.
Oh my God.
So I tucked my arms behind my back and I waited. And he looked down and said, good girl. Now, you may kiss my boots. And I leaned over and kissed the left one, and the right one, and the leather was so warm. And I knelt back up, and I waited. And the room was dead silent. You could have heard a fucking mosquito fart. And I'm kneeling there going, oh, God. So he stepped back and gave me his hand, and I stood up. And he said, so, are you okay? I said, oh. And so our host looked around and said, I think it's time for a break. So I grabbed my Camels and ran the fuck out of the apartment, and I'm sucking the shit out of the end of this cigarette going, oh my God, oh my fucking God, what the fuck? And 3 other women ran out of the apartment, they were like, girl, that was the hottest thing I ever seen. First of all, that wasn't a scene. He didn't even touch me. They were like, oh. She's just the cutest little... Yes, that was a scene. And it was was very hot. Now, what did he say? And I said, well, you know, he kind of just started off explaining that I needed to needle. I'm not really sure what just happened. What just happened? What just happened? What happened? And they were like, well, I don't know. Seems you guys might have some chemistry. And I was like, I don't know about chemistry. I just, you know, I have my master and I got to report back. I got to go home and kneel in front of the keyboard. So the people who driven me to the party were offering me a ride home, and I said, okay, I'm going to go with you. And then this gentleman stepped up and said, would you care for a ride home? And I'm like, oh. And behind him, the people who driven me were like, and I'm like, okay, I guess sure, sir, thanks. And he told me later, the whole time on the car ride home, I was smashed up against the passenger side window, as though I could somehow escape his evil influence by moving 4 inches over. And I got out of the car and he said, I understand and respect that you're involved in some sort of relationship, but should that change, here's my number. And I got upstairs, I logged on, signed into alt.com, and found my master and said, good evening, sir. And he said, how was the truth at dare party? And I said, fine. And he said, good. And at that moment, I took out this guy's phone number and left him a message. And I wound up being in service to him for 2 years. Wow. And to this day, get me within kneeling distance of some motherfucker's really hot boots, and I'm gone now. Thank you.